who touches my family, I'll kill you.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2023 horror thriller Little Bone Lodge. The film is directed by Matthias Hone and it stars Jolie Richardson, Neil Linpow, who also wrote the film, Sadie Soverall and Harry Cadbury. Right, the film focuses on, I don't want to say an awful lot really about the plot, because this is one of those films that you want to go into knowing very little about. Trust me, you will enjoy it far more. So I would suggest if you do want to watch this film, don't watch a trailer or anything, because in my opinion, even I think the trailer gives away a little bit too much. But this film focuses on a family. There is the mother, Jolie Richardson, her daughter, Maisie, and a husband who appears to be needing medical attention, like in a wheelchair and stuff, and she has to kind of keep him medicated. They live in a remote farm out in the middle of nowhere, miles away from anybody else. And this one fateful night, this one stormy night, they get a knock at the door. There is a desperate young man at the door who has an injured person outside who happens to be his brother. He begs them to help. She lets him in, the mother. She does have medical skills. She sorts him out, the brother. She stitches him up because he's very, very injured. Finds out they've been in a car crash. And from there on, things escalate as the two people she has helped are criminals, basically, on the run with a load of money and will do anything in their power to get away with their cash. However, what they didn't count on is that this isn't not necessarily a normal family. Right. That's all I'm going to say on the plot of this film, because genuinely I don't want to spoil this film for you guys. Now, I'd not heard much of this film. This is a film that has gone under certainly my radar and maybe many of yours as well. I'm not even sure if you've heard of it. I saw this on a ranking recently, and I don't even remember which YouTube channel it was. It was a ranking of the best horror films of 2023 so far. And this was on the list, and I thought, oh, I haven't heard of this one. So I sought it out after I saw that that top 10 list of the best horror films of 2023 so far, because it sounded really cool and interesting. And I have to say, after watching this, I was superbly impressed with this film. I thought it was a really fantastically made horror thriller that does both of those things brilliantly well. It's very thrilling when it has to be, and it's certainly horrific when it has to be. And in some ways, it reminded me of Don't Breathe. Not in every aspect, but I think if you watch this film, you'll see some similarities. It flips the script, this film, to the point where you're questioning who's the aggressor and who's the victim. And it does it superbly well. It really does subvert your expectations and keeps you completely and utterly engaged throughout all of this film, because it's such a joy to watch. And it's a real example, I think, out there to people who don't have a huge budget. Now, while this film is beautifully filmed, it's got some great cinematography, great use of camera and things like this. For the majority of this film, it's like a one-location setting in this farmhouse, and a couple of bits here and there other than that. But for the most part, it's just that. So it's not a hugely budgeted film by any stretch of the imagination. But what this film has that really, really makes it work is two things. Well, three things. It's got a good director who knows what he's doing, clearly. It's got a great script. It's really well written by Neil Linpow, who also stars in the film. And it's jam-packed of superb performances by everybody, especially Jolie Richardson, who plays Mama in this film. I wouldn't go as far to say it's a career high performance from her, because I haven't probably seen enough of her filmography to say that. But I don't think I've seen her in a finer performance than this. At times it's a warm blanket, her performance, and at other times it's completely chilling. Very, very impressive performance. But as is everybody else, I think Neil Limpau, who plays Jack, is excellent in the film as well. He's like the older brother who looks after the younger brother, Matty, played by Harry Cadby, sorry, who has clearly got some mild disability going on, constantly messing up. So the big brother is constantly clearing up after him, that kind of stuff. You know, you've seen that dynamic a few times in movies before. This does it in a really grounded and believable way. You believe this relationship between the two brothers. You believe the flawed relationship between the two brothers. And it just works well. And I think both of them give great performances. Especially, I mean, they're both Neil Limpau and Harry Cadby give great performances because they both have very different roles. And it's really good. And at times this film will have you kind of shocked, I suppose, at some of the things that it does in this film. It's not overly graphic or anything like that. I'm not saying it's a gory film or anything, but it will definitely, because it's one of those films you can feel a sense of dread throughout. Something's just not right, and it kind of puts all the attention on Jack and Matty, who turn up at the door with one of them injured. All the attention goes on them, especially when they become aggressive and stuff. Well, certainly Jack does. So you're kind of not prepared for what comes next, and then what comes next is even better than what came before, and it turns into a really complex cat and mouse fight for survival, I think, for everybody involved. So without spoiling things, guys, all I'm going to say is go into this film without watching any spoiler reviews or anything like that. Just go into it fairly blind, and if you appreciate horror thrillers that are well written and well performed, then I think you'll come away with this one thinking you found a little bit of a hidden gem, because I certainly did. I thought it was excellent, and I do agree that this is one of the best horrors I have seen in 2023. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more content on the channel very, very soon.